Two? Yes. But Ramayana describes elephants guarding the palace of Ravana with four tusks. In fact, that verse says, with the two tusks, three tusks, and four tusks. They coexisted. And some evidence like this was used by the Western Indologists to say what kind of nonsense these Hindus write in their text. But now if you look at the paleontology, last 150, 200 years of evidence, you know what it says? Actually mammoths, if you have heard the word, there were elephant-like creatures with four tusks. There are many species, this is one species, Bombo theory. And now paleontology evidence tells us, archaeology evidence that is, it tells us they became extinct in 9000 BC. When did Ramayana happen? 12,000 BC, before this. Okay, so Ravana could have access to elephants with four tusks, and he can get them to guard his palace and push for Viman and whatnot. Go next, last one. This will be a surprise if you have not seen Sugriva's Atlas, my two talks on Sugriva's Atlas. This is in Kishkinda. Just for this, all the young and old, you want to go to Valmiki Ramayana and read it. Kishkinda chapters 40, 41, 42, 43, and so on. Okay? Go next. Do you know how much Sugriva knew? When Rama asked him, like, how are you going to search for Sita? Sugriva takes the Vanara parties, turns them into four parties, they go in the four different directions. And Sugriva gives them the GPS direction. Okay? How you have to go, where you have to go. And there Sugriva describes essentially the world that he knew, all the way in the east from Andes. Remember, India at the center. All the way east from Andes to the west, the Alps. Okay? Sugriva had gone on vacation to Switzerland. Okay? All the way to the Alps. And in the north, all the way from the Arctic Sea, he calls it Uttar Payasamnidhi, all the way to Antarctica, he calls it Yamapuri. And he tells wanderers, I'm telling you, but don't go there. It's very hard to go, but if you go, it's impossible to come back. You know why? Yamapuri, right? Something like this. I want to take just the east direction and show you something very interesting. If you have seen my podcast, you have seen it. So let's look at the east direction all the way to the Andes. Go next. So here, Sugriva describes saying go east to Thailand, he calls it Ropedvip. Then to Indonesia, he calls it Yavadvip, that has become Java, for example. Then he talks many other places like Papua New Guinea, different people, different gear and so on. Then he says you cross the ocean, very likely the Pacific Ocean. And he says once you cross the ocean, when you come to the other side of the land, you are going to see Ananta Deva. Ananta, he is referring to Andes as Ananta. Also as the Udaya Parvata, the rising sun, the mountain of rising sun. Okay? And many times, here you won't ask, but many times people ask, were there people in South America that long ago, 12,000, 14,000 years ago? Why 14,000? That paper that I showed is from Harvard, 2015 Wright paper. Actually, there is a lot of archaeology evidence. Say if you go to Chile, Monteverde, human presence going back to 30,000 plus years. If you go to Panama, human presence going back to 50,000 years. So human beings, no problem. But I want to show you something else. Next. This is a structure. How many of you have seen it? That will tell me how many of you watch my podcast. Okay? So, if you see this is a structure in Peru. Okay? In South America. On the west coast there, against the mountain, it is engraved by removing the dirt and soil and so on. You see the shining yellow, gold colored mountain there? Now, when the Spanish people came there and asked the locals, the Ayamara and Quechua Indians, he said, did you guys do it? The young folks, are you allowed to watch Simpson? No? Just like Bart says, I didn't do it. These local Ayamara and Quechua Indians said, hey, we didn't do it. How about your parents and grandparents? No, they didn't do it. They said it was always there. They don't know who created, why it was created. What if I tell you Ramayana, Valmiki Ramayana tells you why it was created, who created it, when it was created. But just before that, there is a description. Again, if you can read Sanskrit there. Trishira Kanjanasketu Stalastasya Mahatmana Stapita Parvatasya Agre Virajati Savedika. I will translate, see if you can follow the description. Trishira, like a trident, three heads. Kanchana, golden. Ketu, a pole. Mahatmana, a big pole. This is about 800 feet tall. Okay? And next one, Stapita Parvatasya Agre. It is created, established on the top of the surface of the mountain. That is Parvatasya Agre. Okay, Virajati Savedika. If you have seen the Agnihotra, when we say Swaha, fire, just at the bottom, I don't know if it's easy to see, you can see a small rectangle at the bottom. Savedika. But the next verse which is not there, it says who created it, why it was created, when it was created. It says Purvasya Rishi Nirmana. Young kids, everyone knows International Day Line that goes to Pacific. That is now. 14,000 years ago, Andes was the International Day Line, so to say. Purvasya Rishi Nirmana, to establish the east direction. Prutam Tat Tri Dasheshwara, evenUtta Yuga, before Ramayana, Tri Dasheshwara is the Indra. Indra is the deity of east direction. He created it. Okay? And if you go beyond this, you will find the Udaya Parvata, Ananta, that is the name of Parvata. Okay, I don't have a slide, but I will tell you how will you find it surprising if I tell you, and you can Google it afterwards. In Andes, you just type the word Ananta in Andes. Can you do that afterwards? Not now, afterwards. Ananta in Andes. You are going to find 4 or 5 peaks in Andes. They are named Ananta, 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 Ananta. Monte Ananta, Cerro Ananta, Punto Ananta, and so on and so forth. Go next, please. Okay, I just shared like 4 pieces of evidence, from oceanography, from genetics, and from paleontology and geography. Okay, but if you look at those 20 fields, I have actually